Hi, come on in. I'm Effie, I'm the founder of the Fabled Thread, and this is our studio where we make all our kits. I'm a very nosy person and I very much love seeing behind the scenes of other people's studios, so I wanted to take you inside ours. But first, what do we do here? So we're an embroidery, sewing kits business, painting business, basically all kinds of craft kits is what we do. We've been based in the studio for about 2.5 years now and absolutely love the space. The studio is based in Islington in London, and we moved here from a railway arch just about a mile east of here. Our first studio was great. It was small, quite compact, but it was an old railway arch and therefore it leaked. We'd have spiders. You didn't quite know what you were going to find when you put your hands in the bobbin box. And so we moved here in order to have a bit more space, bit of creative separation between different areas of the studio, and to have room to grow. And let me show you all the different pieces we've built for this space. Since I started the business about 4.5 years ago, we first started in my flat, then we moved to our first studio space before moving here, and the whole way along my dad has built all the furniture that goes in the spaces. Everything he's made is really customised to what exactly we need. Everything is slightly bodged, he's no master craftsman, but it absolutely serves its purpose for us. So the core of the room are these two big packing tables. This is where we prep all the kits, we pack all the orders, and if we've got a massive batch of kits to make, it's really useful having loads of surface space in order to lay everything out on and be able to do things in bulk. Dad built these so we can fit different things underneath them, store different things underneath them, and we have all sorts of handy little extra features like rollers to have our packing papers on, space down this end to have all our little extras that go into all the orders, such as our postcards in here, or little bobbin boxes of pens, all the accessories that we need. Everything built handily for us into the space in exactly the configuration we need. So before I show you where everything is in the studio, let me show you what goes into one of the kits. So here are one of our kind of signature kits. These are our fables, and in these we have instruction booklets, tote bags, printed fabric, threads all wound onto bobbins, and then down at the bottom here, embroidery hoops in the kits. Once the kits are all packed, we put them back on these shelves here, and every single one of our designs has its own section which is labelled up. So we have our musicians, our Jabberwockies, these ones are just our freestyle bundles. We have down here our Night at the Circus kits. You can see everything has its own place, and this is where we come to if we're packing an order. Our Needlepoint kits here, and these ones have lots of wool in them. We have our printed canvases for the designs, instruction booklets, and our little needle holders with all the needles in them. Each of these hooks on the front has a different one of our tapestry kits on it. So this one's our elephant in the original colour palette, this is our elephant in the alternative one. So every single hook on the wall has a different kit on it. And then, if I take you down this way, these shelves here are where we have all the materials that actually go into the kits. Now again, my helpful dad built for us all these extra shelving things. So here we keep all our printed fabrics, and our fabrics are all printed up for us by a wonderful woman, Amy, who lives up in Hebden Bridge in Yorkshire, and she screen prints all our different fabric designs. Then we have up here all different instruction booklets to go with each kit, and down here we have boxes filled with wool, and these wools are all of the ones that go into our needlepoint kits. Over this side are all our framing materials. So these are all the bits that go into the framing kit. So we have here finished frames. Up here we have just unpainted frames, because often people buy from us the unpainted frames and decoratively paint them themselves. And then we also have all our kits here of how you mount up your embroideries, or different picture framing mounts here. The main bit that goes into our kit are obviously the threads wound onto bobbins. So over here we have this big wall full of boxes, And each of these boxes is labelled up, and so it will say on it orange 8 metres, and in here are loads of 8-metre bobbins with the orange thread. We wind all these by hand from these large cones of thread here. And the way we do that is with this handy device here that again was made for me by my very brilliant father. When I first started the business, I was winding all the bobbins by hand. Within about 5 days, I had repetitive strain injury, and so my dad stepped in and knew we had to come up with an alternative. The first way we wound our bobbins was on this device, which does look a bit like a torture device. And we would put a cone on here. I'd attach this end to a drill, just a standard household drill. I'd pass the thread through this depth finder, which is a depth finder from a fishing rod. Pass it through, and Bob's your uncle, wind the bobbin, and I'd know, oh, that's had 8 metres through it. Which worked totally fine, but actually when you're winding sort of 100 bobbins, it's really hard pulling down the trigger on a drill for that amount of time. So we slowly stepped up, and now we have this device. This device is our newest iteration. Let me show you. Grab your bobbin, press the button, and you wind. When you've been winding quite a few of these, you get a pretty good feel for what is 4 metres, what's 8 metres. But if we're ever not sure, or someone's in helping us who hasn't done much of it before, then we do have a weighing scale beside it, and we'll know what weight is 4 metres, what's 8 metres. And this is pretty much perfectly 4 metres. So we wind all the bobbins of different colours, and the way we know how much to wind of each colour is we have all these pick lists over here. So for every single kit, we have a list that says, okay, so you need 4 metres of mid-pink, and we're going to number that up, number 2. So we have pick lists written out here for every single one of our designs. And obviously, not to let any space go to waste, underneath here is filled with loads of different kits. So here we have, for example, the fox and the crane, and we keep in bags the bobbins wound for 5 different kits of that one design, alongside all the instruction booklets. So every single kit design we have has its own drawer under here, which then we store the bobbins in once they've been wound. When we moved to this studio, I had said to the team I wasn't going to spend any effort trying to make the studio pretty, but obviously time goes by and you just can't resist. So for all the fabrics that go around all the different benches, I designed these fabrics and had them digitally printed. Mainly it was just a cheaper alternative than going and buying a patterned fabric. And then we obviously also took the time to decoratively paint all the edges of the tables, because who doesn't want a decoratively painted studio? So that's all our embroidery kits and everything that goes into them, but our needlepoint kits are quite different. So here on these rolling shelving units is where we store all our printed canvases. And so we've got our canvases here printed for each of the different kit designs. We bag those up with the wool that's down in those boxes, and then that's what we make into the kits that hang in the bags on the wall. The only other kit that we have, which is a little different, is our build your own Bargello kits. And these again are a needlepoint kit, but they're totally customizable and they're all made to order. And therefore we have our own station set up just for build your own Bargello orders. These kits all are made to order and come in these tubes. And so you can see here, each one comes with a little instruction booklet. And then you can pull it all out and you've got all your threads, your canvas, and then your stitch plan in there. So here's ones I made earlier. These are what the Bargello cushions look like. And you can see they're all different patterns, but you get to choose your own colour palette and you get to choose your own pattern. And so that's why there's quite a lot of options. So here we have each box is one of the different colour palettes. Here we have the canvases that you use. And then again, we have our big bundle of pick lists, so anyone prepping a kit knows what to put in each one. We have the instructions that go into each box. So if it's the feather in yellow you're stitching, you've got the plans here. So these are all on the shelf, all very organised, been at it with the label maker again, haven't we? Whilst this is quite a big space, we are definitely full to the rafters, and let me show you the space which is the fullest and possibly my favourite room in the studio because it has the best light. Come in to the cave. This is our Tetris storage area. I'm going to sneak in around here. Basically in here is where we keep a load of our packing boxes. We don't keep all our packing boxes here because we just have far too many. And so handily, my parents who live up in Yorkshire have some space in a barn, and they store the vast majority of our actual boxes up there. So whenever we run low here, I go up to Yorkshire, or my dad comes down, and we do a little handover of stock. So it wouldn't be possible to fit everything we need within our studio, but this room here is where we store a load of stuff. And behind me is where I film our how-to videos, and this is my little filming chair here. It's a very compact space, but it has this massive window and it gets north light, so we never have direct sunlight in here, and it's actually just the perfect light for filming videos. As you come out, you'll see we have a Bargello banner here, and this Bargello banner is one that shows a little sample of every single pattern we do, and a couple of people helped me to stitch this and we pieced it all together. But that is obviously the first of many things hanging on the walls in the studio that are quite decorative. So these two banners hiding here behind the back of these frames, these are two kind of Egyptomania 1920s revival banners. They're from America, and it was around the time that they discovered Tutankhamun's tomb and everything went Egyptian mad. You can't fail to miss the enormous banners when you come in. This one, our Welcome to the Madhouse, or this lovely special one over here, which is a beautiful line from a John Masefield poem. These two are made by my mum, and my mum is an extraordinary banner maker. She makes banners to commission, makes banners for all sorts of places, just had her banners at Glastonbury. So a lot of the banners, all the bunting, everything hanging in the space has been made by my mum. With all the kits I've designed over the years, understandably there also isn't space in my flat to have all our cushions. It would be slightly mad. And so we have a load of our cushions all here on this sofa, which is just a really old sofa that also my mum made as a sofa cover for, in a stripe, because who doesn't love a stripe? And this is where we have a load of our cushions. There's a load more in my studio room, but we can't give them away or put them anywhere else because we often need them for exhibits, for shows, and so it just means we are slowly getting fuller and fuller and running out of space in here. This cabinet here, my Moby Dick chest, used to live in my flat, and again, because we love a family project, my dad made this for me and then I painted it, and I absolutely love decorative painting, but again, we don't have space for it at the moment at home. One day we will do. So until then, it lives here, and this one is full of felt. Not sure what I'm going to use that for yet, but one day I shall have a load of plans of things to do with felt. For the time being, it just lives in here. So with painting in mind, let me show you the final area of the studio, and this is Katie's area. Katie paints all our frames decoratively, and so this is where she hangs out. So behind this breakfast bar area is a painting station. Usually Katie will be sat here and we will be painting frames like these on here with all different sample pots, all different colours. We have loads of different paints we use to paint all the frames. And the best thing is we paint them on these lazy Susans. So as Katie paints, she can just twist the frame around and always stay in the right painting position for her, and so you can quite happily just sit there and paint without having to do loads of moving around. So once painted, we go put the frames over here on these drying racks, and as you probably guessed, my dad made these, but in the way that is slightly not thought through. They're not quite long enough to take quite a lot of the different frames, so you'll see quite a lot of the frames are not sat flat on our frame drying stands because my dad saved a bit of money on wood, which means that none of them are long enough to actually take all the frame styles. But for all those people who don't want to buy a painted frame and actually want to paint the frames themselves, this is where we keep all the materials that go into your kind of paint your own frame set. So we actually work with the brand Colourman, and we decant out loads of small jars, just the right amount for decoratively painting frames. They all live on the shelves here alongside unpainted frames for people to paint themselves. Or down here we have our little bundles, and these are pre-selected colour palettes which you can use to paint any frame designs if you don't want to have to choose a few colours. And because we didn't want an unsightly end of the shelf as someone walked into the studio, all these are old paint tins that I've covered in paper just to make a nice little extra display so you don't have to see all the ugly boxes when you walk into the studio. Our whole goal is to get everyone making, and so through all the different products we're creating, through all the different things we offer, from the frames to the fabric to the kits, we just hope to get more people sewing. So that's it, that's all our main studio space. This is the space we create everything in. This is where we ship from everywhere. Poor Izzy has had to stand there through multiple takes of this whilst Jen stands behind the camera over there. Next time I'm going to show you inside my creative space, which is small but a bit of an Aladdin's cave of stuff.